Where do you choose to spend your time? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Blue Collar Psychiatrist video series. Today we're going to talk about a question. Where do you choose to spend your time? Let me clarify that. In which time phase do you choose to spend your time? As far as I know, we have only 3 time phases: past, present, and future. Once again, I ask the question, where do you choose to spend your time? Let's look at these 3 phases. Number 1, the past. The past is all activities, all thoughts that we've had, all feelings that we've had from a minute ago to as far back as we can remember. And we have a whole library of books and periodicals and tape recordings of things that went on in our past. The question is, how much time do we spend on thinking about or reliving our past? I suggest to you that living in the past or spending too much time in the past is counterproductive to our mental health. Now, there's nothing wrong with looking at errors that you might have made in the past and learning from those errors. But beside that, I cannot see any great reason or rationale for spending a lot of time or a majority of your time about the past and thinking about the past. Oftentimes, thinking about the past brings about negativity, negative thoughts. I wish I would have done this. How come I didn't do that? I had made so many mistakes. How could I have been so stupid? Most of the thoughts about the past are negative, and they don't do us any good. The only reason that we want to think about the past is to see what we did wrong and correct them. But that's it. Do not spend an inordinate amount of time thinking about the past. It is the road to disaster. I promise you this. Just learn from it and move on. That's it. Then, of course, we have the future. The future hasn't come yet. Now, one thing that we can do about the future is, for example, buy insurance. When you buy insurance, you are trying to protect yourself against some untoward event that may happen to you in the future. Now that makes sense. Not all forms of insurance make sense, but that concept makes sense. There you are preparing yourself for the future. Or you could be, for example, studying very, very assiduously because maybe you want to get into law school or dental school, whatever it might be, and you're thinking about your future, and that's fine also. But when you ruminate about the past, that's when you get into trouble. Big trouble. Now, what does that leave us? It leaves us the present. Oftentimes it's referred to as the precious present. Why is it precious? It's because it's the only place we can live now. We can't go back to the past. It's gone. It's done. It's finished. We can't go to the future because it hasn't happened yet. Therefore, we have to remain, for the most part, in the present. The present, as I've said before, is our only point of power. It's the only phase where we can actually effect something, do something, construct something. Other than that, there's no reason to go back to the past, and there's no reason to go ahead to the future. staying in the present will reduce any tendencies that you might have to ruminate about perceived past mistakes. It does us no good unless we learn from them. It also prevents, to a great extent, thinking about and worrying about the future, other than doing things that make sense, like I mentioned before, such as buying insurance. So stay in the present. If you want to get things accomplished, you have to be present focused. How can you read a book 3 years ago? It's a contradiction in terms. You have to read the book now. How can you read a book 3 years from now? Well, you can't do it. It's 3 years off. Again, the only point of power is now, the present. The more you stay in the present, the healthier, generally speaking, your mental health will be. So, ladies and gentlemen, remember, stay focused, stay in touch with your present, and only minimally and very, very occasionally think about the past or the future. The present is where it's at. That's why it's called the present. It's a present and it's a gift. Stay there. Stay where the good things are and where things can be accomplished. Not where you have to worry about something or not when you have to have regrets about something. That is the road to bad mental health. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, I remind you, drink! And drink abundantly from the fountain of life. See you next time!